Hello everyone and welcome. This is Josh One. We're back here in the beta for Battle for Azeroth. Today we're looking at the Holy Paladin. I'm just gonna go over the talents, and today I'm also gonna just review what I think the best starter rotation when you start a fight is. And of course, as always, I'll have some stuff in the background so you can just see me fighting some stuff. So you can just see some the talents and spells in action. Now, first up, I'm gonna go over some of the stuff here. Just what I think a good starting rotation is when you go into a fight. For single fights, I think just hitting consecration, and then judgment, and then Holy Shock, of course. Now I'm putting Judgment second because of how it synergizes, how it ends up synergizing, making Holy Shock synergize with Divine Purpose, which I'll get to in a minute. And then Crusader Strikes, and then if I think I need to, I'll throw down my Light's Hammer. I don't really use Light's Hammer that much unless I'm pulling more than one thing. For just single target things, I don't think it's that important to have unless I need some extra, cause it doesn't really do that much damage to the enemies. It's pretty good in AoE situation, but one-on-one, I don't think the damage is pretty good, is that decent. But I usually do use it if it's like a elite or a rare, I'll use it. But on the standard mobs, one-on-one, if you can only pull one at a time for whatever reason, I just don't use it. And then, of course, I'll pop my offensive cooldowns, which is I'm running Holy Avenger and Avenging Crusader, which I'll get to and explain why in just a moment. Now, if I'm going against more than one opponent, gather them all up. First thing I'll usually do is to hit Divine Protection, really because of all this healing and stuff we have as Holy. I'm not really worried about keeping it when I'm low or something. I haven't found stuff hits me so fast, even in groups of 4 or 5, that I can't get a heal off and keep myself up. But I like to use that just to keep the initial damage down, and then of course go into the regular rotation. Of course, make sure Light's Hammer is down automatically for that. And if you get in trouble, of course, you always have your Blinding Light to English to disorient it. See, still no English. To disorient all of your opponents in the first 6 seconds. And the nice thing about that is Judgment and Holy Shock are both do holy damage, so you will not break the 6 seconds of deorientation by using them. You will break it, of course, if you use Crusader Strike, because it is, as you can see, does physical damage, and that will break. Any non-holy damage will break the effect of Blinding Light. So that gives you, and you can also use that if you can use Blinding Light if you're low, so you can get yourself off a heal. And you've also, of course, got your Hammer of Judgment, which you can use on just about anything. I haven't, even most elites and stuff aren't, at least out in the world that I've found, are not immune to being stunned. A few of them are immune to being disoriented, but almost all of them I've been able to stun and get a heal off or something to keep myself going. And okay, that's about it for that. Now we're going to go into the talents. Before I get into the talents, there's one thing I wanted to say, and this is that anybody that has anything to say about the global cooldown change. Overall, it's not that bad, but like aura effect mastery is on the global cooldown, and it's just one of those things I think they need to change. Of course, this is beta, and I have put in feedback and stuff for you saying that I think this is one of the abilities that need to come off the global cooldown, which they said they probably will still be doing throughout the beta. They're testing it and everything still. Unfortunately, the overall changes to the global cooldown stuff, most everything's going to end up staying the way it is, unfortunately. Okay, now to the talents. I am running Light's Hammer, which is on a 1 minute cooldown. It's an instant cast. and you basically hurl your hammer at something in an area effect, kind of like consecration. And every 2 seconds for 14 seconds, you do holy damage to enemies, and you heal your allies or yourself for a little over 184 damage, 184 health. There we go. Yabba. These two here, Crusader's Might, which is a passive, which makes Crusader Strike reduce the cost of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn by 1.5 seconds, is nice, but over Light's Hammer to be able to, when you're running around leveling, pulling things, I think is it's just not that great. Kind of, and Bestow Faith, that's more of a healing, and we have so many heals right now as it is. I think while leveling, I think taking this talent would be a waste by just doing the quests out in the world and stuff. Dungeons and stuff, yes, of course, you probably would end up taking this to be able to, put on one of your party members. But overall, for just leveling, it's not worth it. At the 30 level, I am doing Cavalier, because I like to be able to get out of stuff, or kite stuff if I need to. Unbreakable Spirit. Again, I've barely come close to. I've died maybe twice, and I was just pulling huge mobs. So far, I just while leveling. I don't see the need for the reduce and the cooldown of these abilities, so I don't use it. Then we have Rule of Law, and again, you're basically out here by yourself. I mean, if you were in a party, leveling, or out in, doing quests and stuff, or a dungeon, I would take Rule of Law probably for the mastery portion. But otherwise, again, leveling wise, just doing quests and stuff and killing things, I don't think you need it. Next up, of course, is the 45 row, which, as you should all know by now, is basically the interrupt row or stun row. You have Fist of Justice, which reduces the remaining cooldown of Hammer Justice by 10 seconds. You have Repentance, which again, I still think this is more crowd control. I think it's much more useful in dungeons. And Blinding Light, of course, is what I'm using, which disorientates anybody within I think it's 10 yards for 6 seconds, and any non-holy damage will break the disorient effect. This, of course, you would not use in a dungeon. You would definitely use Repentance, because almost everybody else in your party is not going to be doing holy damage, so anybody you hit with this is just going to automatically be, broken out of it. I'm running Devotion Aura just for the reduced damage stuff. Aura of Sacrifice, of course, if you're above 75% health, 10% of all damage taken by allies within 10 yards is rejected to yourself and reduced by half. And of course, with Aura Mastery active, you get 30% of the damage is redirected to you and is reduced by 75%. Again, usually you're out by yourself leveling. When you're out by yourself leveling and stuff, don't really need this. Same thing with Aura of Mercy, restores 110 health to 3 injured allies within 10 yards every 2 seconds. Again, you don't really need this. We have a lot of other heals for ourselves, so I think the 10% reduced damage is the best way to go when you're out just questing and leveling up. In the 75 row, we have Judgment of Light, which your judgment applies basically a debuff to the target, which causes your next 20 successful attacks, 25 of them, against that target to heal whoever attacks them for 73. Again, this honestly, the way things are hitting you and all the healing you have, this is not needed for just regular leveling and stuff. I would even in dungeons, I would still pick Holy Avenger. I think in dungeons or raids, I would pick Holy Avenger over Judgment of Light myself. Next up, of course, is Holy Avenger, which is what I'm running. It's on a 1.5 minute cooldown, and increases your haste by 30 seconds and your Holy Shock healing by 30% for 20 seconds. Out leveling, I'm not really worried about the Holy Shock, the healing portion of it, because I'm not going to be using Holy Shock to heal myself that much, because I'd rather have it doing the actually pretty good damage that it does to the enemies. Excuse me. I need to whip my whistle there. So, but the 30% haste is quite nice, to be honest. Next up is Holy Prism, which is on a 20-second cooldown. It's an instant cast, and basically, if you hit a target with it, it does about a little bit over 1,500 damage, and it radiates healing to 5 other allies. Again, you're out here by yourself mostly, so no reason to take this. And it's on a 20-second cooldown, and honestly, it does about the same damage as Judgment, maybe a little less. And Judgment is only on a 10.5-second cooldown, where this is on a 20-second cooldown, and I just don't find it it really doesn't help kill anything faster. Over the 30% haste, I think overall is better. Alright, next up in the 9 area we have Sacrificed Wrath, which makes your Avenging Wrath last 20% longer, and also reduces the Holy Shock's cooldown by 50% while it's active. Now, this is nice, but I do prefer Avenging Crusader, which I'll get to in just a minute. Over this, again, out leveling and stuff. It's Holy Shock's on a pretty decent cooldown. I mean, it's almost 8 seconds, but honestly, with the haste boost of Holy Avenger, and even when it's not, it comes off pretty regularly, and you have a chance for it to, thanks to Divine Purpose, which we'll also get to, it can come off cooldown on its own. So I just don't find it I did not find that very useful. Same thing with Awakening. It says Light of Dawn has a 15% chance to grant you Holy Wrath for 10 seconds. I haven't found it's really it doesn't really proc that much when you're just out in the world and stuff. Maybe in dungeons and stuff, it'll proc better, but I haven't found it. Even in the group, when I'm out doing quests with friends and stuff, it doesn't really proc that much for me. At least not at this level of play. I am running Avenging Crusade, which replaces your Avenging Wrath. It's instant cast and has a 2-minute cooldown. And basically it increases your Crusader Strike, Judgment, and auto attack damage by 30% for about 20 seconds. It also makes the Crusader Strike and Judgment cooldown 30% faster. And when you deal damage with those abilities, it heals 3 allied players will be healed for 175% of the damage you do with any of those 3 abilities. And like I said, it lasts for 20 seconds. Now, when you're out, of course, by yourself leveling, you're not going to need really the healing part of it. But the 30% damage is quite nice. So that's why I'm using it. It's only a 2-minute cooldown, which is pretty damn nice. Alright, at the last row we have Divine Purpose, which makes your Light of Dawn and Holy Shock have a 20% chance to not start the cooldown and make their next cast free. This synergizes again really well with these two, with the haste and everything. You can get sometimes I can get 3 or 4 Holy Shocks off within the 20-second time frame easy. So this is quite nice. That's the reason I'm running it. It does a really good job. And with the Judgment things of making your next Crusader Strike or Holy Shock do 30% increased damage. Also, with this, you hit somebody with this, and boom, you've got this, and they synergize really well out while killing things. I'm really happy the way that happens. Next up, I would definitely probably take Beacon of Faith or Beacon of Virtue, depending on situations in dungeons and raids. The Beacon of Faith is an instant cast, and you can basically mark another target with a beacon, and it mimics the effects of Beacon of Light, and your heals will now heal both of your beacons, but at a 30% reduced rate. With Beacon of Virtue, it replaces your Beacon of Light, and has a 15-second cooldown, and applies a beacon of light to your target and to 3 injured targets within 30 yards for 8 seconds. You will heal all of them for 40% of the amount you usually heal. Your flash of light and holy light on the targets will also refund 20% of the mana cost. This isn't that bad. I've played with this in 5 men doing some dungeons with some friends, and it works out really well, actually. But again, for just out leveling, these two are just not very useful. And this I find in this row for leveling purposes only, this is definitely the go-to talent. Okay, other than that, that's about it. Holy, actually, for killing things, Holy is a little bit slower than Prot, but not by much. So you can still kill things rather efficiently with Holy. I think it will take you a few more seconds or so, but overall the damage it does, at least like I said, for leveling, is not that bad for just killing regular mobs out in the world and doing quests. I would probably, if you're going to play Holy as throughout the expansion, I would imagine, like most of us, you will probably have a rec spec and level ret, and then, when you do dungeons and stuff, you'll transfer over and do Holy. I would honestly have to recommend that. I still think ret's far superior damage-wise, and it still has quite a bit of healing, self-healing to keep itself up so you can pull multiple packs and stuff. But Holy isn't, I think, in a good position if you do just want to go out and kill things and do it as a Holy Paladin and not have to worry about changing specs and stuff. I think it's in a good position to do that. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. And as always, have a good day, and I will see you next time.